Welcome to Basic Winemaking Video. I'm James Spencer.
I'm Steve Wilkes.
And we're drinking another wine today.
Gee.
Tough duty we have.
Who'd have thunk it?
We're drinking a Chardonnay Semillon from a kit that I made. Cheers.
Cheers. It's very tasty. And it's got all that typical, it's buttery, it's got some vanilla going on, some melon happening in there. Very, very tasty. Great job, James.
Thank you. Just fires up your taste buds.
Yeah, it does. How long has this been in the bottle?
It's fairly young in the bottle.
Yeah.
It's less than a month, in fact.
Oh, man.
But it's ready to go right now as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, me too. This is really good. And, trust me, every bit as good as going to your local package store. This is a good wine.
And how much would you generally pay for a bottle like that?
I would put this somewhere in $10 to $15. It's comparable quality, and it's a good bottle of wine. Yeah,
Well,
it's way better than a lot of them that I've bought.
Well, I figured, took out my calculator the other day, and I figured that this bottle cost less than $3.
Wow.
So,
and and just for kind of full disclosure on the price of wine, I am a firm believer that you cannot judge a wine by how much you pay for it. Certainly there's got to be exceptions to that. A bottle of Opus One, you're getting a good bottle of wine. But I've had $7, $8, $9 bottles of wine that were wonderful, and I've had $25 and $30 and $40 bottles of wine that weren't. So, but if I would expect to pay for this wine about $10 to $15 US. So,
well,
there you go.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, the reason we're here today is because I was reading up a little bit about the Chardonnay grape, and the Chardonnay grape is used in champagnes.
That's right.
In sparkling wines.
Along with Pinot Noir grapes.
And what I figured was, and I looked at the yeast that it was with the kit, and it is actually a champagne yeast.
So you had an epiphany.
It doesn't take me long to to connect those two dots, mainly because they're so close together. But you and I have made sparkling meads in the past. We've never made technically a sparkling wine.
Right.
But we've made sparkling meads in the past, and I thought, why don't we do a show or a series of shows on how to make your own, take a kit,
right,
and play with it a little bit, go beyond the basic instructions for the kit, and make a sparkling wine at home.
I'm very excited about this. We don't have a lot of fancy equipment. We're going to do this so that you can have a 12-ounce bottle of wine, which I'm excited about, because I don't like to open up a whole fifth of wine a lot of times, because then I'm going to spend way too much time recovering the next day.
Especially your sparkling wine.
Well, yeah,
because you don't want it to go flat.
Yeah.
So you got to drink it, right?
Got to drink it or cook with it, and I'm not going to cook with a good bottle of wine unless I have to. So
But
I'm excited.
tell us, we're not making a true champagne.
We're not making champagne.
Or even a true sparkling wine.
Well, yeah, we're making a true sparkling wine, but we're making what I would call a country wine or a peasant wine in terms of how it's being made. That might sound a little condescending. I don't mean it that way. But we're not going to do any riddling, which is where you turn the bottle a quarter of a turn a day for a period of time, and all the yeast settles. Then you freeze the neck, and then you disgorge the yeast plug, and then you recap it. And we're also not going to do a lot of kind of fancy priming. We're going to prime this just like we would a sparkling mead or a beer, for that matter. And we're not going to worry about how many atmospheric pressures we're getting to, because we're going to dry this wine out, and then we're going to prime it just like we would a beer. So we'll end up with about two atmospheres, and that's what a beer bottle is kind of designed to hold, and we won't have any troubles there.
Yeah, it is important when you are doing what we're going to do, and is what's known in beer making as priming. It's important that you control the amount of sugar that goes into a bottle with yeast, because that yeast is going to want to eat the sugar, and when yeast ferments, it makes carbon dioxide and alcohol. And if you have too much sugar at the time of bottling, you can have too much CO2, and you can have bottle bombs.
Yeah, they can literally explode although more likely they'll just crack, and you'll just have wine everywhere in wherever you store it.
Neither one a desirable outcome.
No, for sure.
So like you said, we're going to ferment this dry.
Yeah.
And then at the time of bottling, we're going to add some sugar to it, enough sugar so that we'll get the proper amount of carbonation.
Right.
We're going to make the kit as the instructions say.
For a still wine.
For a still wine. The only difference is that we are not going to stabilize it. We're not going to add the ingredients that either kill the yeast or inhibit the yeast's activity.
So no finings.
Yeah. Well, we'll still do the fining portion. We'll still clarify it.
Okay.
But at the time of bottling, we're going to add some more yeast in there, and we don't want to get in the way of that yeast's activity. But that's another show. That's the second show in the series, and we may have another show in between, because this is going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, it will. And there's a lot of steps that we'll do. And I'm really anxious for this too, because since we're going to dry it out all the way, I'm going to be curious as to how dry that is in my palate. Okay. So I'm thinking that what we're going to end up with would be something called a brut, B-R-U-T, which is the driest form of champagne, and this will be a very dry sparkling wine, because obviously we need to get all the sugar out of it except for the priming sugar, and that shouldn't add a lot of sweetness to it.
Of course, this wine, in fact, also is maybe as dry as it can be. It's down to 0.996, I believe, on the hydrometer, and we figured it was, what, 12.4% alcohol?
Yeah.
So I don't know that the final... I don't know that it may appear to be drier because of the bubbles. That's
what I'm wondering. And see, I think this wine is still relatively sweet. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not dessert wine, or it's not like a cheap Riesling, but there is a residual sweetness in it that's very nice. It's very, very easy on the palate.
That's very good.
So I'm imagining, will the wine that we're making today, will it be this sweet in my palate, but bubbly, or will it dry out palate-wise even more? So we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, let's get started with the first step. Let's make some wine.
Yes, make some wine. How easy was this?
Pretty darn easy.
Pretty darn easy. So what, give this a couple of months?
Yeah. We will we'll be back in a couple of months. I hope then we'll have bottles and glasses of sparkling wine to show for our efforts. So till then, happy winemaking.
Happy winemaking and all that stuff.
Cheers.
Come and visit us on the web at basicwinemaking.com. You can see archives of our video podcasts, and you can see our DVD, Basic Winemaking, Introduction to Wine Kits, where we teach you how to make great wine at home using high-quality ingredient kits. Or if you're into beer, check out basicbrewing.com, where you can see our video and audio podcasts and our DVDs to teach you all about brewing the best beer at home. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. You can email James at basicbrewing.com or Steve at basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact forms on basicbrewing.com or basicwinemaking.com.
There are worse things to do.
There certainly are.